round 15 of the MotoGP World Championships. 24 laps of this twin ring Motegi circuit. Can Casey Stoner win the title? If he finishes in front of Valentino Rossi, who's qualified in the middle of the front row, Stoner will win the title with 3 rounds remaining. The conditions have thrown all predictions out of the window. Promises to be a very tense, exciting afternoon. Jerry Burgess talks and smiles to Valentino Rossi, causing other members of the crew, because they really are going a little bit, Gavin, in to the unknown, aren't they?
Really, there was obviously warm-up in the wet conditions this morning, but conditions just won't be the same out there. Bikes have ridden on there. Words between Michelin and Danny Pedrosa about what the situation is, what choice to make on tyres. Is it going to dry out later on in the race? Is there going to be a chance to come in? They're free. It will be a wet race, I'm sure. They're free to come in whenever they want and change tyres. That could be crucial later on in the race.
Now I'm down the second row of the grid with Anthony West, his best qualifying. Anthony, I suppose you might have been doing a rain dance, but this is not the conditions that you really like. It's not too wet and it's not too dry.
Yeah, it's not really exciting to go into a race when it's when you don't know what the conditions are. So a little bit nervous. Yeah, see what happens. Seen you having a smoke before, maybe you can lend me one. Calm the nose down.
So how was the warm-up for you this morning?
Yeah, a little bit difficult. Just had a wrong setting, and but I think just the first lap out just then, bike feels a lot better, so we'll see.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
No smoking on the grid, Brett.
See, perhaps we caught you out having a roll-up round the back there, haven't we, eh?
That was out the back after just having a bit of hospitality from Kawasaki as well.
There you go. Valentino Rossi, they certainly haven't made his tyre choice yet, have they? Or have they made the tyre choice? Oh, how is it going to dry out, Mark? You're the only man that can give us any real indication about that. It looks a lot lighter from our commentary box window.
It is, but when you look down the bottom of pit straight and you see these hills that are shrouded in cloud, the track's wet, but it's like the start of the 250 race. I'll be still wondering if there's going to be a dry line. And looking at all the tyre warmers on the bikes, there's no actual change of the tyres at the moment. Change of the brake pads maybe on Rossi's bike at the moment as he goes through his, waving at the crowd and everything. But yeah, I think it's still going to be a wet race.
Tense times, and Ant West, all joking apart, was really, really nervous, and he's a guy that rides quite brilliantly in the wet. What they don't want, and they've said it, and we've said it so many times, they want to know. If it pours the rain, everybody knows what to do. If it's dry, you know what to do. But what happens is, if it does start to dry out when you're using wet weather tyres, that dry track just rips chunks out of the tyres. And Gavin, I suppose for the first time we can have people coming in to actually change tyres to dry tyres rather than wet.
We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Now I've got Colin Edwards with me. Colin, pretty good warm-up for you this morning, but it was wet then. As I said to Anthony West, it's in between at the moment, so it makes it really crucial about how the strategy and what you're going to do, especially if you start to get a dry line.
Yeah, we got a bit of a tweener going on, in-betweener. No, I'd be really happy if it pissed down rain right now, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so... You know, I mean, we know we ran in warm-up, and we're just making a small adjustment with tire, you know, what compounds we're going to use, and we'll go from there. And after that, we're just going to have to ride the hell out of it.
All right, them all the best, and hopefully you ride the hell out of it, Colin.
Thanks.
I think he summed it up for all the riders quite beautifully there, Colin Edwards. Something we probably can't repeat, but he's right. Let the rain pour down, because drying out now is not going to help. Well, it's going to help people, but it's going to be difficult. You wouldn't want to be out there now, would you? Randy De Puglia now, he looked good in the dry, obviously he qualified fourth fastest. Didn't look too bad in the wet. He's not finished the last 2 races. Big blowout in Portugal last week, then of course the infamous crash in Misano. But he's the sort of man that would take risks in these conditions.
Yeah, well, he's got nothing to lose, has he?
Nope, different team next year.
Yeah, riding for another team next season. He's got to go out there. He's not going to win the championship. So this is the sort of rider that people at the front in these sorts of conditions don't want, pushing up on the inside of them, these kinds of things.
Now I've got Mick Doohan with me on the grid, 5 times world champion of Australia, the last one from Australia, about ready to hand over the title to a young Casey Stoner. You know what pressure's like. He's got the same attitude as you. He's taking it race by race, but he's saying just go for the win. But surely he must be feeling a little bit of pressure, even with 76 points lead.
You know, it's hard not to think about what's about to happen to him. But I spoke to him yesterday before qualifying, and he seemed quite relaxed about things. So, you know, of course, he'd still like to be up the front, the pointy end of the field here with the heat. He didn't feel the tyres were suiting the conditions as well as they could, and you know, but today it's raining or wet, so it's a bit more of a lottery. We don't know what's going to happen, but you know, he's well aware that pretty much he just has to beat Valentino here, and it's a done deal. If not, then he's just got to roll home next weekend. So you know, I think he realised that it's just a verge of putting one step across the line, and he's been intelligent all year, so I can't see why that's going to change now when it's sort of at a critical point, and especially even if things were to go, touch wood, disastrously wrong, you know, pretty much Valentino's got to win every race from here on in to secure the championship. So, you know, Casey's done a great year, and, you know, he deserves what's coming to him.
All right, well, all the best for him, and good to see you here again, Mick. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
There's Mick Doohan, and summing up the Mick Doohan and Casey Stoner philosophy absolutely perfectly, didn't he? Yeah. He has got nothing to lose, Casey Stoner. He's just got to remain calm, and I think he will do that. But well, it's difficult, isn't it? He wants to win the championship, obviously, probably before he goes to Australia. But if he can't, he can't. Now, this man has got nothing to lose. He's won here for the last 2 years. He's leaving Ducati. He's had a wretched time recently. He's quite capable in these conditions to go out and win the race, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he said to us this morning, didn't he, that, well, you know what, I prefer it to be wet because things just haven't gone right for them, from any of the Bridgestone riders really in these conditions. Okay, second row's got West, Depunia and Elias on it, but it hasn't just looked quite right for them, has it? These sorts of conditions were the sorts of conditions at Le Mans, weren't they, early on the season, when, of course, Christian Mullen went on and won the race. Casey Stoner was there as well with him on the podium, Malcolm Melandri as well, and they were 3 Bridgestone riders doing the business. Now we've got an opera singer, Mika Kuni, who's going to sing the national anthem for the Japanese.
We're in Japan, Japanese national anthem, and it just feels right, doesn't it? Absolutely perfect. What a race this is going to be. It's 24 laps of this Motegi twin ring circuit, and it could decide the outcome of the 2007 MotoGP World Championship. And it's this young man that could clinch the title. If he finishes in front of Valentino Rossi, Casey Stoner will be crowned 2007 World Champion. Look at that record down the left side. Yeah,
boy, does he deserve it this season. A brilliant season from the young Australian, on the verge of creating history, the second youngest rider of all time. He would become, behind Freddie Spencer, if he were to take the victory today and take the World Championship. There you can see Paul Butler, race director, holds up the board. It's a wet race for the MotoGP riders. What does that mean? Well, it means once they're out on the track, they can come in and change bikes onto a bike set with different tyres anytime they want during the race. Whether that's to their advantage or not is up to them, but it could be up to someone to make a big, big gamble, couldn't it?
Certainly couldn't. It could be up to somebody making the gamble that's not expected to be up the front. Just take the risk and go for it.
Yeah, I've got Livio Supo with me, the team manager from the Ducati team. Livio, I know Casey Stoner will be a bit nervous at this moment, but how are your nerves?
Reasonably under control. Come on, is not the final race. Is the second match ball we have. The first one was really kind of dream. This one is more close, but still not sure. We really don't care. I just would love for Casey, for himself, to be able to go on a holiday a couple of weeks relaxed.
Thank you, Livio.
Very relaxed he would like to do. He could do that at home in Australia, but he may have to win the title in Australia. That will be unbelievable for Australian mad sportsmen, but it will be tough on Casey Stoner. Shinya Nakano, we saw earlier, we say he may have a future in MotoGP with the Gresini team. Still holds that 250 lap record. I can't believe that after 7 years. The winner in 99, and he's had a podium here, of course, with Kawasaki as well. Just make his season a bit happier when it's been a wretched time for one of the nicest men in MotoGP.
Yeah, I just wonder whether in the wet conditions that will suit him really, not always been known to be a big wet rider. So, 5 minutes to the start of the race, 3 minutes until they get off on their sighting lap. Safety car makes its way around the track. We've got exciting moments now before the start of the race. Can Casey Stoner become the new 2007 MotoGP World Champion? There are all the riders out on the grid, and it's more than our usual 19 here this weekend. 21 riders. We've got a couple of wildcard riders in. Kosuke Akiyoshi, one of those, a test rider for Suzuki, and he's set and ready for the race. I like Akiyoshi.
I know why you like him, he's your size, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a chunky fella. You can do it in MotoGP. Don't be dissuaded. Carlos Checa alongside him on the grid in 14th. Akiyoshi's actually been very quick here this week.
Yeah, he has.
In the wet this morning as well, but he did have a crash. Carlos Checa down in 14th, coming to the end of his MotoGP career. He's signed for Tenkate in Superbike for next season. 4th in the warm-up though this morning. Watch out for him.
Alex Barros, of course, the winner of the race here. We tend to forget that one in 2002. His first ever ride on the 4-stroke Honda. Could be goodbye to Japan, certainly in MotoGP, for a great ambassador for MotoGP, Alex Barros. He may return to Superbikes next year. We wait to see what he does. Makoto Tamada, we've seen, winner of the race here 3 years ago, disqualified in 2003 after that controversial incident with Sete Chibanau, and just fighting for a future, I think, in any World Championship motorcycle sport.
Alongside him, Chris Vermeulen, down in 17th. Now, we're not used to seeing him down this far, but we know these kinds of conditions do suit him. He won the race earlier on this year in similar conditions at Le Mans. Another Aussie who's had a fine season in MotoGP. 5th in the championship, Chris Vermeulen.
Well, you can feel the tension, I promise you, because, yeah, I think Livio Supo summed it up perfectly. Casey Stoner did have a chance in Portugal a week ago, but it wasn't very close indeed. This time round, Casey Stoner has a real chance. 24 laps, this Motegi twin ring circuit. What a front row. Does it matter what the front row is in these conditions? Pedrosa, Rossi and Hayden, and that was in the dry yesterday.
That's an all Michelin front row and an all Bridgestone row too. Depunier, Elias and Anthony West. Watch out for Westy in these wet conditions.
Colin Edwards, Loris Capirossi and Casey Stoner. All eyes on that third row. The Australian starting from 9th fastest.
Marco Melandri, John Hopkins and Shinya Nakano make up row 4.
Row 5, our friend Akiyoshi, Carlos Checa and Alex Barros, former winner here, probably bowing out of MotoGP at the end of the season.
Makoto Tamada, Chris Vermeulen and Sylvain Guintoli make up row 6 and bring up the rear. Akira Yanagawa, Shinichi Ito, who replaces Alex Hoffman, who's been sacked by his team, and Curtis Roberts brings up the rear in 21st position on the grid.
Into turn 1, helicopter shot of this magnificent Motegi complex, 100 miles north of Tokyo. Contains the circuit, contains many other things. Just a reminder of those championship positions. Stoner leads Rossi by 76 points. If he finishes in front of the 7 times world champion, he will win the world title.
Now, just a quick interesting update on the tyres from Michelin. They've all gone for the medium front and rear, but Pedrosa and Carlos Checa have reverted back to the 16.5-inch front tyre.
You can see there was a big discussion going on with Danny Pedrosa on the line, couldn't you? And that was obviously the decision they made.
All about feeling in that front end perhaps, and just maybe wanting a bit more out of the bike at the front in these kinds of conditions. Danny Pedrosa wasn't always known as a wet weather rider, but earlier on this season at Le Mans made it up into 4th position in that race, and we suddenly started saying maybe Pedrosa can ride in the wet as he came on strong in the second half of that race. But it was the Aussies at the front, Vermeulen and Stoner, who dominated that one. Marco Melandri in the mix as well. At the moment, there's no rain around. There's possibility of rain to come. See a couple of umbrellas there, but there isn't anything at the moment. So we've got a wet track because it has rained since the end of the 250s, but it's dry in the air for the time being. It could dry up during this race quite soon. You never know.
Final weather update, Mark, before the race gets underway, because it could be so crucial.
It's the clearest we've seen it all day down here at the moment. It's actually getting pretty humid and really, really sticky as well, with the not so much the heat. It's only 21 degrees, but the humidity 90%. There'll be a lot of sweating going on those leathers. As we look now down at the back straight there, as they drop off that hill, you can see a dry line there already.
You certainly can see a dry line there. This could be history in the making, because we have never seen the riders come in and change. We've seen them change from dry weather tyres to wet weather tyres, but come back the other way, I don't think we've ever seen that, have we, Gavin?
No, not so far. I think someone's risked it. I think Roberts
I think they probably have risked it
once. I think they were forced into the risk, though, when they made that choice. Right, they make their way up to the grid. Casey Stoner's on the outside of the third row, but watch for his launch from the start. If he finishes in front of Valentino Rossi, he will be world champion at the end of the day today.
Casey Stoner's mum and dad are there, Colin and Bronwyn, that's his trainer in the middle. What a day for the Stoner family from New South Wales. They could be celebrating another world title for Australia. Casey Stoner starts from the third row of the grid, ninth fastest. This could be the race that decides the 2007 MotoGP world title. The lights are on red. The Grand Prix of Japan is underway.
That's a false start from Anthony West on the second row of the grid, that's for sure. At the back, Christopher Newland hasn't been able to get away, so a shocking start for the Aussies. Casey Stoner, meanwhile, has done very well at the start, and he's all the way up on the inside, up into fourth spot, and could even go past Rossi, and he has done.
What a start by Casey Stoner. Casey Stoner leads the way. Well, doesn't lead the way, but he leads the man. He's got to beat Valentino Rossi, and he's done it. Danny Pedrosa leads the way.
Well, Christian Mullen left on the grid, actually. He just got away then.
Yeah, we saw him left. Oh, cruel up for Christian Mullen, but great news for Casey Stoner.
Yeah, at the front, though, it's Danny Pedrosa at the moment. Just in behind him is Tony Elias. Then it's Nicky Hayden. Casey Stoner coming under pressure now from Anthony West, but West is on a jump start. I'm sure he moved before the start of this race. Colin Edwards is just in behind him, and Valentino Rossi is down in seventh, coming under pressure from Akiyoshi.
Well, don't splash through the puddles, but you can see the track is still wet there as they go round the left-hander, up that slight hill, up towards the, they come up towards the hairpin that brings them onto the back straight. Great start by Pedrosa, but a good start by Stoner from that third row of the grid. But Rossi always says,
watch out for West. West is going through. Sorry about that, Nick, but I had to jump in because West has gone all the way up to fourth spot. And he could have even gone up into second spot, and he has. And Stoner's going to try and get through and into third from Nicky Hayden, is he? No, but he goes past Elias and up into fourth. So it's Pedrosa leading from West, then it's Hayden, then it's Stoner, then there's Elias in there, and Akiyoshi is past Rossi and Edwards, and Akiyoshi up into sixth place. The Suzuki test rider is having a fantastic start to this one, and now goes up into fifth past Elias.
But it's still Pedrosa that leads the way, but Casey Stoner has moved up into second place.
Third past Nicky Hayden, Casey Stoner. I've still got West in second, Stoner in third, then it's Hayden in fourth.
Danny Pedrosa, what a start by the young Spaniard. There's Ant West now. Is there going to be a problem with Ant West jumping the start? We've certainly heard nothing yet. If he's not held responsible, that was a great start by Ant West. West in second place, Casey Stoner third, Akiyoshi fourth, Nicky Hayden five.
That's Marco Melandri coming through on Colin Edwards and about to put pressure on Valentino Rossi. Melandri's had a good start to this one too.
Up towards turn two. West is riding the race of his MotoGP career. Short career it may be. Stoner would be very, very happy to be in there.
Melandri up on the inside of Rossi and Elias, and Melandri now up into seventh spot.
Well, Rossi always says it takes a little bit of time for his tyres to warm up, doesn't it? But he doesn't want to let Stoner get away.
Curtis Roberts into the pits to swap bikes onto slicks.
Well, there we go. So Curtis Roberts
making the gamble.
But there we are. Just the fact that he's doing it makes you think that it is really drying out there. Ant West now closing onto the rear wheel of Danny Pedrosa. Ant West could lead a MotoGP race for the very first time, and still no indication from race direction that he jumped the start. Just looks like he made an amazing start from the second row of the grid.
I'm sure I definitely saw him move from there. I hope they're not listening to me though. Danny Pedrosa leading the way. We're on board with him at the moment. Ant West just in behind, then it's Stoner, Akiyoshi, Melandri and Rossi coming through as well. So Rossi's down in 6th spot. If things stay as they are, Casey Stoner would be the world champion at the end of this race. There's 22.5 laps remaining though, and anything can happen.
Certainly can in these conditions. The track is beginning to dry out. That's the real worry for the riders. But as you see as they come down the back straight here, still a lot of spray. Ant West is taking the lead. Oh, Ant West leads a MotoGP race on the Kawasaki.
But there's been confirmation that Ant West has jump-started the race. Ant West is going to have to come in for a ride-through penalty. He may be leading the race, but Ant West will have to come into the pits and ride through.
Oh, dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh, Pedrosa and Stoner almost clashed. I think it's Stoner that's gone up into 2nd place. It has, but it doesn't really matter. Casey Stoner leads the race because Ant West has got to come in for a jump start from 9th place on the grid, from the 3rd row of the grid. Casey Stoner is where he wants to be to win the title.
In effect, Casey Stoner is leading the Japanese Grand Prix at the moment. He's passed Dani Pedrosa and now he's hit the front. He's got Ant West in front of him, but as we've said, West is going to have to come in for that jump start. 2nd place, it is Dani. It's going to be Dani Pedrosa. But just ignore Ant West at the front, I'm afraid to say. But what a boost for him to be leading this race and leading in MotoGP for the first time. At the top of the screen, Valentino Rossi is still in the hunt at the moment. Rossi's down in 7th at the moment because Depunier has got past him. So Ant West's teammate, Randy Depunier, is on a charge.
We wait to see when Ant West is going to come in. When will he get the board? Does he know yet? I don't think he probably does. He might have it in the back of the mind there may be a problem.
Watch Melandri. Melandri goes through and up past Akiyoshi. Melandri goes into 4th spot.
Now, Anthony West's about to get the board this lap. It says penalty driving. I've got Michael Bartolome with me. A very big disappointment for you after such a good start.
Yeah, for sure, he's leading the race and it is a big disappointment for sure, yes.
All right, that'll do. Thank you, Michael. That sums it all up. Michael Bartolome not keen on talking at the moment, but as I said, he'll get the penalty drive inside this lap.
Look out for Marco Melandri as we say it though. He has a bit of a twitch as he gets past Dani Pedrosa. They're side by side once again, like the old 250cc days as they race down the back straight. Casey Stoner opening up a big lead. Ant West, who leads him, will have to come in for the jump start. Marco Melandri is now moved into 3rd place on the road. Sounds like the TT, but 2nd place in the race.
And Dani Pedrosa is being relegated to that 4th spot. And Marco Melandri just tucked in there as well. Akiyoshi, Randy Depunier, and Valentino Rossi quietly going about his business at the back of this group. And there it is, the board that says penalty and a ride through for Ant West. What disappointment there must be going on in his head at the moment. But this is the sort of conditions where a ride through, this you can see the jump again. The lights were held a very, very long time. You can just see, just jump forward just a little bit.
Old Eagle Eyes next to me got it absolutely right. I can tell you he's very disappointed for Ant West, but he's very pleased that his eyes did not tell a lie. So Casey Stoner leads this race, and Casey Stoner stays there. The World Championship is his, but look out for Marco Melandri. Although if Marco Melandri beats Casey Stoner, it really won't matter. The man we've got to look out for is Valentino Rossi.
Now, Akira Yanagawa, the wildcard rider for Kawasaki, he has also come into the pits to change tyres, so I don't think it's the last one we're going to see this race.
Obviously taking early risks. They've obviously thought, right, I've been around a couple of times and it's dry enough out there to go out onto those slick tyres. And that's what they've done. On board now, looking forward at Akiyoshi with Randy Depunier. No, with Valentino Rossi actually, because Depunier's got past Akiyoshi. You can just see him in the front of Akiyoshi. So we must be on board with Valentino Rossi for the time being. Trying to make moves on Akiyoshi, is he? No, not this time. Rossi runs it a little bit wide, comes out with a better line, take more power coming out. And you can just see there's Ant West dropping back. Well, I just wonder, Ant West, he's got to come into the pits, but these are the sort of conditions whereby if you rode hard, riding through wouldn't be too much of a penalty as it would be in the dry.
That's absolutely right, but he's...
it's Randy Depunier.
Yeah, it's Randy Depunier.
It's actually Yanagawa. My apologies there to Ant West. I was going to say he's going to ride very hard, come to the pits as soon as he can, but Yanagawa letting all the riders past, and very well done by the veteran.
Well, there is Valentino Rossi at the back of that group trying to go to the inside of Akiyoshi. Has he gone through? It does appear that he has. at the front. Ant West comes in, he hands over the lead to Casey Stoner. This is the very worst scenario for Ant West, but in particular for Valentino Rossi.
Well, he's going to ride at the absolute limit, 60 kilometres an hour in pit lane. All the others have gone past our commentary box now, all the way down to Capirossi, and Edwards now goes through as well. So where will Ant West rejoin? We'll see when he comes out of pits. But leading now is Casey Stoner. Behind him, Marco Melandri. Then it's Dani Pedrosa in third spot, and in fourth spot is Valentino Rossi. Bradley de Punier, I can't see him. He was in there a second ago. Wonder if he's gone out of turn one.
Well done, but Marco Melandri looks to set the fastest lap of the race. He was fastest in the morning warm-up, pulls up almost alongside Casey Stoner, decides perhaps, no, just bide my time a little bit. This is the battle for third place. We ride with Valentino Rossi. The man in front of him is Dani Pedrosa. Got to get past him soon. Rossi cannot wait too long. Stoner is going to get away at the front.
Ant West has rejoined in 14th spot, so he's still in this race, still in 14th place, and he's not too far behind a group that's in front of him now. Valentino Rossi has made the move and he's through on Dani Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi up into third spot in the podium positions. He goes to hunt down Melandri and Stoner, who are 4 seconds ahead of him at the front. Stoner's been taken by Marco Melandri. A look behind from Casey Stoner. He'll know he'll have a gap behind him. Melandri's hit the front in this one. Stoner just needs to stick with him, or at least stick in front of Rossi to claim the title.
Now Rossi's bike being warmed up with the tyre warmers on the slick tyres, so it might be the Rossi coming in shortly for another change of bike.
Well, that would be a very, very big, brave move, wouldn't it? Melandri leads the way as they go into the 90-degree corner. There is Casey Stoner in second place.
This was the move from Marco Melandri on Casey Stoner. Just seeing him pushing up the inside, and Casey Stoner just couldn't bring enough out of that corner there. Quick look behind, and you'll see Valentino Rossi is on his tail and closing.
Well, I think Rossi will probably wait a little while, won't he? Just wait to see what the conditions are. If he's got to take a really big risk, he would do it. It would be interesting to see if he can pull anything back now on Casey Stoner in second place in the next few laps. I think that will decide his strategy. What a ride by Capirossi. We were smiling about him earlier. He ate all the pies and all that nonsense. He's shown us, isn't he? He is riding absolutely brilliantly. He is the test rider for Suzuki, but he is flying.
Ant West has already caught up John Hopkins and Alex Barros, Shinya Nakano and Nicky Hayden, who are the group just in front of him. Can see everyone in pit lane working feverishly on their bikes at the moment.
Now Rossi got the board just then, Gav, that said 3.3 seconds to Stoner, so it's up to him to make his mind up as we see Carlos Checa come in on his bike and change bikes.
Well, some interesting decisions from some of the riders. Get out there on those slick tyres and see if they'll work. They must know they've been out there, must be hoping that there's enough of a dry line, and it looks as though there might be from that angle. You can see the reflection of the water. The gap just from Stoner to Rossi had dropped to 3.3, but now it's up to 4.3. Stoner and Melandri have really picked up the pace at the beginning of this lap.
You get people like Carlos Checa, they're the people you would expect to chase, because they're the people down in that second group and they've got a chance to perhaps do something. Rossi, this is a major, major decision for Rossi to make if he is going to pull in. I think if the gap gets bigger and bigger, he will take the gamble and go for it, because he's really got nothing to lose, has he?
No, not at the moment, but just having a look. I just wanted to have a look at the lap times of some of the riders who've come in so far. Not really seeing any damage from them at the moment. Yanagawa with a 2:19, his best lap of the race so far. So it would seem to me that Yanagawa's gamble hasn't paid off so far.
And Checa really catching his team by surprise, waiting a couple of minutes before they got the bike ready, getting the tyre warmers off, and he's just gone back out on the track now, so a very slow stop.
He won't be happy about that. Casey Stoner beautifully placed. Second place if he hangs in there and Rossi doesn't make any move on him, doesn't get close enough to make a move on him, he will be the world champion. As a good marker for him, isn't it, to follow Marco Melandri.
2 fastest laps of the race just come. First from Marco Melandri, but then from Casey Stoner as they work feverishly on his bike in pit lane. They're in the 159s at the moment. Of course, when they were riding around in qualifying, they were around in the 146s. You expect that sort of difference between the two sets of times. Now you could see, if things stayed the same, Casey Stoner, who needs a 75 points advantage when he leaves Japan to win the World Championship before going home to Australia, would be world champion. Valentino Rossi would be 80 points behind and not able to catch him, even if he won all 3 races, and Stoner didn't take part in any of them.
Now I've got Davide Brivio with me, the team manager at Fiat Yamaha. Davide, leaving the decision up to Rossi to come in, just noticed that the bike is being warmed up, prepared for the changeover.
Yeah, we're ready, and of course it's up to the rider to decide when he can ride on slick tires. So we're just waiting for him, and we're ready for that. I think if it's not starting to rain soon, everybody will have to change the bikes.
All right then, thanks very much.
Thanks, Mark. Well, that is very interesting indeed. So, well, Casey Stoner set the fastest lap of the race. He's very happy to hang in there behind Marco Melandri. I think Rossi may take a big gamble very soon indeed.
So Randy De Punier running off track again. Randy De Punier, he's been off track once before. He's now down in 8th position and 6 seconds down on Loris Capirossi after that off-track excursion. At the front, Melandri leads, half a second gap between him and Stoner. Melandri's upping the pace all the time. The gap back to Rossi is just under 5, well, it's 4.5 seconds because Rossi's pulled something back on this lap. If you're Casey Stoner, surely you keep out there until your rivals come in.
Yeah, let them make the moves. You've got all the ace cards in your hand, haven't you? Let's see what they do. It's like a game of poker, isn't it? Let them make the moves. And Stoner would just hang into the rear tyre there of Marco Melandri. And just for a moment, thought actually he was going to go past him. There is Valentino Rossi in 3rd place. Stoner still well placed. Yeah, the gap between them, 3/10 of a second. Stoner could probably up that little pace if he wanted to a little bit. Danny Pedrosa in 4th place. Rossi pulling away. Akayoshi, great ride by him in 5th. Well done, Colin Edwards in 6th place.
Just
7th,
interesting.
Capirossi, 8th, De Punier we've seen go off track.
Yeah, just interesting. You see, Ant West is already up to 9th spot after having that ride through penalty, so he's come back on and he's on fire at the moment, really wanting through. Nicky Hayden's coming into pits to make a change.
And Gidgely as well, both at the same time.
Nicky Hayden comes in, we watch him now come to his team. There's going to be a big, quick jump over onto his other bike, and Nicky Hayden takes charge of his second machine, fitted with slick tyres. Are they fully slick, or is there some slight cuts in that?
Look fully slick from here, didn't it? But that's always difficult to see when they're riding at that sort of pace. This is the first really big gamble of a serious ride. Serious contender. But Nicky Hayden not having a great race, so take the gamble, go for it.
Down in 12th position, what has he got to lose?
So Nicky Hayden on slicks. He's changed from wet weather tyres to slick tyres. Marco Melandri still leads the way from Casey Stoner. Valentino Rossi in 3rd place. Is he closing at all?
Yeah, Rossi closed down to now 4.2. He set his fastest lap of the race on the last lap. They can see the 4.2 gap between Casey Stoner and Valentino Rossi. Now, what's it going to be as we clock it just coming over the little lip there? It's down to 4 seconds, so he's chipping away at that lead of Casey Stoner, and Stoner just needs to watch that and manage that as much as he can. What I was going to say, it's interesting to see that the riders aren't trying to pick up the wet parts of the track, aren't trying to cool those tyres at the moment. They just seem to be taking the fastest line through and setting as quick a pace as they can. Maybe they feel they're going to have to change tyres anyway.
Yeah, it's got an inevitable feel. I think Davide Brivio, the team manager for Fiat Yamaha, said if it remains the same, everybody is going to have to pull in at some point. There is Rossi's bike, fitted with, well, that's slicks. And it does appear that the bike has really been ready. They have to do that. They don't know if he's going to come in or not. You can't get on the radio.
Rossi's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:59.362. So Valentino Rossi's now motoring. Makes it very, very interesting indeed.
Now more coming into Elias and De Punier, and Hayden going out on cut slicks, Pete Benson tells me.
Cut slicks. Again, old Eagle Eyes here. He picked it out again. He's on good form sitting next to me. This is the man in the lead, Marco Melandri and Casey Stoner. There is Valentino Rossi at the top of the picture. 17.5. Really dramatic laps to go.
Rossi had pulled that down to 3.7, and now it's just gone back out to 4.1. Sure, Stoner's probably got a board saying, look, Rossi's behind you and just closing slightly. Just made him up the pace. Ant West, meanwhile, who's been in for that riding penalty, is now in 8th position. Here was Tony Elias coming into pit lane to change as well.
Hobbling between bikes, can't really run at the moment. Poor old Tony Elias, still got that rod in his left leg.
Watch out for Chris Vermeulen as well, just as Makoto Tomada comes into the pits. Chris Vermeulen up into 10th spot, and he's stalled on the grid even.
Yeah, it just shows keep going. Ant West and Chris Vermeulen, 2 perfect examples. Casey Stoner, 15.5 laps to go. That world title, he's got one hand on it, isn't he? But it's only one hand at the moment because when Ross is involved, you're never quite sure. Will Rossi take the gamble and come in and change his tyres? I think if it stays like this, he will have to do that. Look at that dry line appearing. And Danny Pedrosa also hanging on to Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, Pedrosa on Rossi's coattails. Rossi, through the first two splits, Stoner had pulled out gap, but on that third split, he's pulled 7/10 of a second out of nowhere. Valentino Rossi really closed down on Casey Stoner through that part of the circuit. As they head through the start-finish line area, though, now we'll see the new gap. Melandri to Stoner is 0.6 of a second. Stoner to Rossi is 3.5 seconds at the moment. So staying pretty steady as it was on the lap previously.
He's keeping it pretty constant at the moment, isn't he? It changes in different sectors, it changes different laps, but it's no real big impression.
Capirossi into the pits. It'll be interesting, these two, Stoner and Rossi, will play a cat and mouse to see who actually comes in first.
I think Gavin got it right. I think Stoner he's got the ace cards in his hand, and he can wait and wait and wait, but this is a real game of cat and mouse, isn't it? Stoner's still holding the ace cards.
Well, just an interesting thing at the moment. The first rider, one of the first riders to come in from the wets and change to dry was Carlos Checa. His last lap was a dead 2 minutes dead. At the front, Melandri and Stoner are both in the high 159s, so it's pretty much identical lap time between the wet and the dry choice at the moment, and it will only get worse for the wet tyres and only get better for the dry tyres. It could be very interesting, this race.
Stoner and Rossi 3.2, so he's a little bit closer.
Fastest lap of the race so far, Sylvain Guintoli, a 156.999. He's on those dry tyres. 3 seconds he's taking out of these guys at the front. It really could be a time when you're thinking, look, it's time to come in. And if you're Ducati, you're looking down at Guintoli's times and thinking it might be even a chance to take a gamble.
14.5 laps to go. Melandri opening up a bit of an advantage as they come into the 90-degree corner over Casey Stoner. Rossi is closing. Oh, 2.6 now. Rossi is really closing. I don't think Rossi will take the gamble yet, and if he can close on these tyres, he will keep the same. But how long will the tyres last? It's drying out all the time. They're starting to take chunks out of the tyre. Perhaps it's Stoner that's got to make the move.
Perhaps it is. We thought it would be best to just wait and see. Has a look as he crosses the start-finish line, looks at his board, looks at his monitor as well on top on his dash, and you can see it's down to 2.4 at the moment. So Casey Stoner will know the gap is closing. He will know that at the moment the title is in his hands, but he will know that it's Valentino Rossi behind. He's having a few moments as well, coming out of a couple of corners, and it's got to be quite hairy out on the bike at the moment.
If you haven't got enough on your shoulders, you've got to think about Valentino Rossi, the world championship. Now you've got to decide, are you going to come in and change tyres? And you're getting no help from the pits. It's not Formula One. Nobody's telling you anything. You've got to work it out all for yourself. Whoa, it's tough.
Now imagine if it starts raining again.
Oh,
don't bring that one in.
I thought you said it was starting raining.
We haven't thought about that, but it has got darker, hasn't it?
Certainly has down here, and it's looking, I just felt the spot then, I'm thinking, no, it must have been just off one of the garages, but anything's possible with the way we've seen this day unfold as Hopkins comes in and changes bikes as well.
Well, I mean,
incredible race. Another fastest lap of the race from Sylvain Guintoli. This time it's a 155.5. Guintoli is down in 12th position at the moment on those slick tyres, but all the riders who are coming for slicks are quicker than the men at the front at the moment.
The most important man in Japan at the moment could be the weather forecaster, because if there's any chance of the rain coming back, they daren't come in and change their tyres.
The gap down to 2 seconds between Stoner and Rossi now, and the gap between Melandri and Stoner up to 1.2. So Stoner's having his problems while Rossi is closing.
There we go, confirmation. A 155.524 from Sylvain Guintoli. That's not going to help the riders out there. They can't hang out aboard and start telling about Sylvain Guintoli and anybody else. They've got to work this out for themselves. Casey Stoner's in a bit of a dilemma. Rossi's closing all the time. It's Rossi now. I think that ace card has changed hands, don't you?
Well, I think if Rossi were to catch him up, if I was Casey Stoner, I would go into to the pit lane, because then if Rossi's got such a higher pace than you and gets past you, take the risk. I don't know, it looks very dark out there at the moment.
And Carlos Checa back into the pits, pointing down at the engine. No, it's
that's a real shame for him. Carlos Checa obviously got problems out there. He was in the 159s as well on those dry tyres, those slicks that he went out on after coming in early in the race.
Look at the gap between Stoner and Rossi. 12.5 laps to go, turn 2. Rossi is closing on the young Australian. Is anybody going to make a move on changing tyres? Marco Melandri are doing him no justice at all at the front. But really, this is the World Championship. Look at Stoner's eyes, full of concentration. What is going through his head at the moment?
I wouldn't dare to think. Marco Melandri's in the 1:59.1. Stoner did a 1:59.7. Rossi did a 1:58.3 on that last lap. And meanwhile, Capirossi's done one on 1:55. De Punia's done a 1:56. Elias has done a 1:56. And Italy has just set another fastest lap, a 1:54.254 as well. It's all going to happen here, really, with over 12 and a half laps remaining. That sort of gap, that's 4 or 5 seconds a lap you're gaining by getting onto slick tyres. It really is worth the gamble, I'm sure. It just depends on the weather now.
Rossi closing on Stoner. He's going to make a move any moment now. We ride with Valentino Rossi. They're at the hairpin that brings them onto the back straight. Little bit of spray still coming off the rear tyre there of Casey Stoner. Rossi slipstreams him. Oh, look at the power of the Ducati as they race down the hill.
Well, I think that was just that Casey Stoner ran it. A perfect line coming out of that corner road. Superbly going in there. Valentino Rossi's going to make the move. Going to the 90-degree corner. We've seen him make errors there in the past. Not this time. Stoner goes down to third. Rossi up into second place. No one goes into the pits this time either. They ride past and they come down the start-finish line through Victory Corner one more time.
Weather forecast, please, Mark.
Still just a couple of drops of rain, but Stoner's bike being warmed up at the moment as well.
Rossi in second place, Casey Stoner third. Casey Stoner, if it remains the same, will have to wait to Phillip Island in Australia in 3 weeks' time to take the title. Rossi's pulling away from him. Rossi has got the scent of victory in his nostrils, but what is going to happen about the tyres? There's still 11 and a half laps to go. If it keeps drying out, they're going to have to come in.
Well, Dani Pedrosa is also setting on some really hot lap times at the moment, and they can see the move from Valentino Rossi at 90-degree corner, past Casey Stoner and up into second position. Now, you can see one of the Suzuki's come into the pits, Akiyoshi.
And West as well has just changed over.
Loris Capirossi's just set the fastest lap at 1:53.6. So Capirossi, that's 7 seconds a lap they're pulling out now.
And they've got to come in. And surely that is the moment that Casey Stoner
his team
knows he's got to come in if his teammate can do that.
Ducati know that now. They know that, and they've got to tell him to come in.
Shinya Nakano in. Are they giving him an indication, Mark, that he's got to come in, Casey Stoner?
Nothing at the moment. The lap board is in, and yes, it is. It's just going in now as I speak. Lap 11 box.
Ah, there we are. So obviously they're helping. I think they're doing the right thing to try and help
him. Definitely. If he comes in before Rossi, then he's got the advantage over Rossi. He'll have an extra lap on those tyres, an extra lap to heat them up as well. That's what Rossi's not like so far this season, the tyres when they're cold. Lynn Jarvis. And you can see also Furuzawa in the box there watching on with a very keen eye. Now, are either of the front two going to come in on this lap?
I don't know about on this lap. This is Casey Stoner. I think Casey Stoner is going to come in this lap. The Australian's going to come in and change tyres. Is he? Wait to see what's he going to hang out there for one more lap.
Rossi isn't coming in. Stoner, has he been told yet? They put the inboard on there, and will he only see it on this time round? No, he's through. He's through this time, so he'll have to come in next time.
Oh, what a choice for Casey Stoner. And they're trying to help him, aren't they? And Dani Pedrosa is now closing on Stoner as well. Now, Pedrosa hasn't been in yet, has he?
No, Pedrosa hasn't been in. He and Rossi are very fast on those Michelin wet tyres at the moment. 1:58.5, and there's Hiroshi Yamada, Bridgestone's motorcycling chief. And he
looking
watches
to the
on.
Sky.
Yes.
Well, Dani Pedrosa now closing on Casey Stoner. I think Stoner, well, he's been told he's got to come in. Let's wait and see. We've got another fast lap. Loris Capirossi.
Are we going to see a Loris Capirossi victory for the third year in a row? He's the fastest man out there on slicks. He's in 6th spot, and he's the first of those riders out on slick tyres. Those front five, Melandri, Rossi, Stoner, Pedrosa and Edwards are all out on the wets. Capirossi, the first man who's on those slicks.
Is Stoner going to come in?
Oh, it's
Valentino
Rossi.
Rossi's taking the lead.
No, Melandri comes back round the outside.
Back again, Rossi very close indeed. They come through the victory corner momentarily. He got the front wheel of the Yamaha in front. Marco Melandri fights back, and Rossi tries to take it once again through the left, not able to do so. Melandri still holds the lead.
And Rossi forced wide there by Marco Melandri. Really aggressive riding from the Honda rider. Rossi has a look behind on his Yamaha. We're on board with Marco Melandri, who leads the race. Pedrosa, meanwhile, has got past Stoner. Just the gap between Stoner now and Edwards is 13 seconds. At the 7th, Capirossi, 20 seconds he's got to come into pits, jump on the bike and get out again.
Here comes Rossi thinking about going up the inside of Marco Melandri on the brakes. Not able to do so. We ride with the 7 times world champion.
Now, they through the 90 degree, through the tunnel. Are they going to come into the pits? Rossi goes through and takes the lead. Rossi's not coming in, but Melandri is coming into the pits. Rossi has stayed out, and he's staying out longer than anyone, and he's just seen Melandri's gone in, and I'm sure Stoner has to come in too if he wants a chance of winning it. For me, Melandri and Capirossi in the best situation at the moment. Melandri's in, and Pedrosa is also stayed out while Stoner is coming in.
Stoner in. So you see Marco Melandri. Did he make that decision very, very late? He's suddenly seen the
Brilliant,
race in the pit.
brilliant if he has done, because that's superb. Still haven't seen Edwards across the line. Melandri's on his way out. Stoner's on his way out. Wow, this is amazing stuff. Marco Melandri is back out there and leading the race. 1.5 seconds behind, though, is Loris Capirossi. Loris Capirossi is just behind Melandri now. This is amazing stuff. How long can Rossi and Pedrosa stay out there?
Now Rossi getting a sign, come into the box, so we're giving him his lap time before, but now he's being told to come in.
Yeah, I think he's got to have help. I think he's got to come in now. He's drying out all the time. And 9.5 laps to go. Valentino Rossi leads the way from Dani Pedrosa, but it just does not tell the story of the race.
Yeah, Valentino Rossi riding in 159s at the moment, whereas behind him, Sylvain Guintoli in the 152s, Elias 153s, De Punier 154s, Capirossi 153s. The gap between Rossi and Capirossi is 15 seconds at the moment. So that 5 seconds he's taking up per lap can be gone in 3 laps time. On this lap he'll make up 5 seconds. It's looking not so great for Rossi at the moment. It just depends how quickly they can get things changed over and how quick his tyres can come up to temperature.
Valentino Rossi comes onto the back straight, accelerates away. Surely at the end of this straight, there's the 90-degree corner, and then he's through the tunnel. He's going to come into the pits. The Yamaha is ready for Valentino Rossi.
Cut slip front, it looked like, on that Yamaha for me, for Valentino Rossi.
It certainly is. I'm standing right beside it, and a slick on the rear.
Take us through, Mark, because he's definitely going to come in. We just take him into the pit lane and tell us how it is. Rossi into the pits.
The team is there ready. The bike's been warmed up. They're there. Alex Briggs is standing with the bike. He should be coming in any moment now. Here he comes now.
Yep, he comes down pit lane. Now I'm just looking out, trying to see who's going to cut him across the start-finish line before him.
We have a faller. Dani Pedrosa.
Dani Pedrosa down. Too long out on those wet tyres, and Pedrosa is out of it.
Oh, Rossi just left it to the last minute.
Across the start-finish line now comes the Ducati of Loris Capirossi. Loris Capirossi goes through as Rossi comes out. Marco Melandri also crosses. No, it's Colin Edwards who stayed out there, but Rossi is out. Rossi is out ahead, and Carlos Checa's still out there. He goes through. Marco Melandri as well has also come through. But where's Casey Stoner? Stoner's right down in 8th position, whereas Rossi was in 2nd, but it's going to take him time, surely, to get up to speed. Stoner's last lap was a 2:06 on those tyres.
And you can smell the rubber of the tyres. Rossi really torturing those things. The front tyre and the rear on the right-hand side is really, really shredded.
Things not looking like they're working for Casey Stoner on board that bike at the moment. He's behind Sylvain Guintoli. Here's the moment for Dani Pedrosa. Oh, that's a nasty crash for the Spaniard.
Certainly is. Dani Pedrosa comes down, coming into the start and finish. He just perhaps stayed out too long on those wet weather tyres. Now, Loris Capirossi from absolutely nowhere, winner of the race for the last 2 years. Could he be on for a hat-trick? Perfect timing by him. We've got to say, Rossi, my golly, Rossi left it so late, but he's probably...
But Rossi's dropping right down. It's taking him a while to get used to these. He's now about 3 seconds ahead of Casey Stoner. Stoner's past Melandri. He's closing in on Guintoli as well. But Sylvain Guintoli's going to put some pressure on Rossi as he gets his tyres up to speed. You can see him having a few problems on those tyres at the moment. And just at the top of the picture, you'll see there's Sylvain Guintoli. In there also is one of the Kawasaki's. Could that be Amp West?
Certainly is.
Oh, Rossi. But he's got these two men behind him, protecting him from Casey Stoner. How long will they remain behind him?
Yeah, you could see Stoner in the top of the picture as Guintoli goes through on Rossi for the 2nd time this year. Remember, he did it earlier on in the season at Le Mans. Rossi runs in very wide in the 90-degree corner. Having a look at the front end of his bike. Has he got problems with that cut slick front?
I just don't think there's enough heat in the tyre, Gav, at the moment.
I don't think so. If you've got a cut front, and that's the problems he's having, he's going to come straight under pressure from Stoner. Meanwhile, at the front, Rossi's in! Valentino Rossi comes into pit lane. Is this the end of the World Championship 2007 for Valentino Rossi?
Casey Stoner, if he stays on board his Ducati now, he's in 4th place, 5th place, will be crowned the 2007 MotoGP World Champion. It's all over for the Doctor.
Well, he's obviously got a problem with that front end. Just saying, go on, tell us, Mark.
He was just saying that the front was tucking, and Alex Briggs and Brent Stevens having a look under the bike around it because of what, probably a recollection of what happened in China, but they said everything's okay. It's just that the tyre was too cold and the front was tucking on and going into the corners.
What an incredible, incredible Japanese Grand Prix we have had. Casey Stoner is out on track at the moment, having changed from wet weather to dry weather tyres. The man who made the change at exactly the right moment, though, was his teammate, Loris Capirossi. And it's Capirossi that leads by 14 seconds over Randy de Punier, who is on the Kawasaki. Wow, this is breathtaking stuff.
Sylvain Gintley in 4th place, Tony Elias in 3rd spot, Casey Stoner in 5th. That will be enough. Valentino Rossi down in 12th place. It's not going to be enough.
We could see first podium positions here for Randy de Punier, for Sylvain Gintley, because Gintley's closing the gap on Tony Elias all the time. Wow, this is incredible stuff. Leading the way, though, it is Loris Capirossi, the man of Motegi, the master of Motegi, we've called him before. Won here for the last 2 years, on board that Ducati bike. He's going to be leaving the factory next year, which is obviously disappointing for himself and the Italian factory. He's going to go to pastures new at Suzuki, but at the moment he's on course to seal what would be the sweetest victory, I'm sure, of the last few years.
The battle between Randy de Punier and Tony Elias, and all eyes really focus on Casey Stoner. Make it stick, Casey Stoner, and you will be world champion 2007 with 3 rounds of the championship remaining. Marco Melandri 6, Akiyoshi doing well.
Oh, Rossi's off the track. Rossi really has problems. Really, if he doesn't finish the race, the championship's already gone. It doesn't matter what Casey Stoner does. He's off the track and he's coming into the pits. As you know, he's going to stay out there. And that's what we know about Valentino Rossi. He won't ever give up. If there's any chance, even if he's riding with one wheel, he'd still get out there and try and do his best. But at the moment, Rossi is slipped right down the order, crosses the line in 15th spot, and this could be a sad end to the championship for him.
Rossi's so good on those wet weather tyres as the track was drying. Did he leave it too late to come in? Well, probably on reflection, he did. Here we go, runs on there. That's John Hopkins behind him. But it looks like this is not going to be the day. Valentino Rossi.
After all the talk this weekend about tyres, tyre rules, all these kinds of things, it's one of the rules that's been in for a couple of years now, where they can come in and change bikes with different tyres that's decided the race. It's an incredible story here this weekend, and it could be one that sees Casey Stoner, who we're on board with now, win the World Championship. Standings at the moment would see Stoner crowned with an 86-point gap over Valentino Rossi. He would become the 2nd youngest world champion of all time in the MotoGP class. A beaming Colin Stoner there, still just a little apprehensive, but delighted nonetheless that his boy could be finally fulfilling the potential that he's shown over the last few years.
Are they showing him, Mark, any sort of board about Rossi, or are they just letting him ride his race?
No, I think that's it. Well, it's no point coming in now because what the other bike's still got the wet weather tyres on it, and to change tyres, what's the point? He may as well just stay out there and battle it.
Man who's fastest on the circuit at the moment, though, is Sylvain Gintley, who's in 4th spot and closing on Tony Elias. Could we see a first podium for the Dunlop Yamaha Tech Trois team from this season? The first one in a long time for Dunlop and those boys there.
Well, I've just got Hervé Poncherel with me from the Tech Trois team. Hervé, what a remarkable performance from Gintley at the moment. He might even jump a podium.
Yeah, it's, you know, I can't believe after the hard time we've been having through the whole weekend, you know. He just pulled in quite early, and we threw our race choice with some cut, and it looks like it's working really well. You know, he's only 1.6 to the podium, and we just cross finger that we can, you know, end up in the top 5, but it's possibility of a podium for sure. So anyway, cross finger.
Cross your fingers, I think.
Closing the gap all the time, Gintley on Tony Elias. It's down to 1.6 from 2.3 at the end of that last lap. Gintley's on a charge. Meanwhile, this is going to be a lonely ride for Valentino Rossi, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I wonder if Casey Stoner just knows what the situation is. I would imagine somebody or the board or something has told him.
Well, he'll have seen Rossi go past him when he went past him, of course.
Yeah, he will, yeah. But It's in a very, very important 6.5 lap for Loris Capirossi, but more important for his teammate, Casey Stoner. But, well, we said Loris Capirossi at the start had nothing to lose. He could take all the risks with tyres and everything else. He's done exactly that. Here is Sylvain Guintoli. He's in the back on the yellow Yamaha. So Tony Elias in front of him. That's Randy de Punier in front of him. Sylvain Guintoli, I think, will give it absolutely everything. Fastest lap of the race now to Randy de Punier.
Yeah, Capirossi set one just before that as well, but Guintoli now closed the gap on Elias by a second on that last lap. Meanwhile, Stoner is riding in the 155s, 4 seconds slower than these guys at the front, I think Casey Stoner says, look, I'm not going to get a podium here. I'm just going to bring the bike home and I'm going to become world champion.
Well, the board he just got then, Gav, said Rossi P15, so he knows exactly where Rossi is, and that's probably thought, okay, I can button it off.
And we talked all this season about how mature Casey Stoner has become, and the fact that he's just thinking on his feet, working his way through, thinking, right, Rossi P15, all I need to do is finish this race above him and in the points, and he can just ease off and ride all as slow and as easily, as comfortably as he needs to do, more or less.
He's ridden a brilliant race here today, kept nice and calm. Guintoli really, really close. What is it now? 7/10 of a second. There is Tony Elias in third place. Sylvain Guintoli is close as Randy de Punier in second. There is the yellow Yamaha, the yellow peril. He took the gamble, he came in early and changed his tyres. Well, I think the gap actually is a little bit closer than that now. Sylvain Guintoli, I think everybody, as much as we like Tony Elias, would love to see Sylvain Guintoli take a podium.
Here comes Sylvain Guintoli now in the wake of Tony Elias. They come down the hill, 0.6 is the gap, so he's halved it on that last lap. Marco Melandri is past Casey Stoner in the meanwhile, and Stoner's going to come under pressure soon, I think, from Kosuke Akiyoshi on board that Suzuki. This is an incredible race. I really can't believe what I'm seeing here. What a way this would be to win the World Championship. Of course, you want to win it taking victory, of course, but what an incredible story this is.
Tony Elias still in third place, coming under pressure from Sylvain Guintoli. 4 laps to go. They're up at turn 1. Elias, that would be an absolutely amazing performance by him. Well, 4 laps to go of this 2.983 mile circuit for Casey Stoner, the lad that started dirt track racing back home in Australia when he was just 6 years old. The world title beckons. Valentino Rossi can do absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah, at the moment he's powerless. Down there in 15th spot at the moment, 3 seconds down on his teammate Colin Edwards as well. And you have to say it's looking like it's not going to be the fairy tale end that he was hoping for. It was going to have to be a fairy tale if he was going to take the World Championship the way Stoner's ridden the first part of this season with 4 races remaining. We knew he had to win all of them, and Stoner to have some kind of disaster. It hasn't happened here. The disaster's gone firmly into the Yamaha garage.
Take a big breath, everybody. Back home in Australia, get the fridge door open, but don't take anything out yet. There's still 3.5 laps to go. But Casey Stoner, so close. He can feel, he can touch that World Championship trophy. Sylvain Guintoli can feel and touch his first ever podium finish in MotoGP, but Tony Elias will not make life easy for him.
He's a tough cookie, is Tony Elias, with the gap now from Guintoli down. Well, you can see, you don't even need telling the time difference between them. Right on the tail of Tony Elias and Sylvain Guintoli, those eyes wide open. Fantastic to see when they have these clear visors in just how much concentration there is. Randy de Punier sets his fastest lap of the race, Tony Elias, and just runs it a little bit wide, but Guintoli also, and then they bring it back round. Obviously it's not very easy bringing these bikes around the corner at the moment. A look around from Elias, and he will have seen Sylvain Guintoli very, very close behind him.
He almost looked the wrong way, didn't he?
Wow, Elias just touching the white line. You don't want to be doing it in that kind of situation, just sliding the rear of that tyre. It's amazing watching him ride sometimes, Tony Elias.
This is the battle for third place. 2.5 laps to go. Guintoli, is he coming up the inside on the Yamaha? No, but he's close enough now. He will make a move in the next 2.5 laps to try and claim his first ever podium finish. Tony Elias riding with that pin in his left leg, following that horrendous practice crash.
Here comes Guintoli.
And Assen, it doesn't matter. Sylvain Guintoli, oh, he runs it wide, and Elias is back in third place. We may see that again. We're looking down the list. 14th place, Valentino Rossi. And Casey Stoner closer, closer and closer.
Stoner is in 6th spot at the moment. That would do it. He only really needs to finish ahead of Rossi. He could even finish 1 place behind Rossi and still walk away with the championship. Doesn't look like that will happen. It looks like 6th is going to be enough for him.
Tony Elias looks behind. This time he does look the right way. There's a big yellow blob in his eye line, isn't there? It's a super race for 3rd place. Between 2 guys, well, Tony Elias has won a Grand Prix. But Loris Capirossi, we've almost forgotten the little man at the front, the magician of Motegi, the master of Motegi. And I don't think he ever thought he was going to win another Grand Prix for Ducati. He is going to do that. There's Randy Punier in 2nd place, and this battle for 3rd place still rages. Casey Stoner, 2 1/4 laps left. He's got 1 hand on the trophy. He's got a couple of fingers now. His left hand also on there.
This is a great battle for the final podium spot between 2 of the satellite teams, the Gresini Honda of Tony Elias and Sylvain Guintoli on the Dunlop Yamaha Texroy. This is Casey Stoner, just 2 laps remaining now, and he will become the 2007 MotoGP World Champion. Look at the focus in those young eyes.
Stoner in 6th place, Valentino Rossi in 14th place. Concentrate, concentrate, concentrate. No mistakes from Casey Stoner this season. Surely now he's not going to make it. Oh, back in the pit, his wife Adriana and his dad Colin. Oh,
she allows herself a little smile.
I couldn't smile in that situation. I'd have my eyes closed, I promise you.
And here he is, just coming through the first of the underpasses. And it's been a brilliant season from Casey Stoner. Of course, it's not done just yet, but he's deserved this title every single second of the way. Wouldn't you agree, Nick?
I couldn't agree with you more. Lots been written and said about him. He has done the business where it really matters, at the sharp end. He's ridden the bike on the tyres, and he deserves to win the title.
Gav, you'll have to ask him what's going through his head in that last lap, just so we know, because it would just be so nerve-wracking.
Valentino Rossi, 14th place, Colin Everts behind him. I think Shinichi Ueto behind them. Loris Capirossi starts his last lap. It will be a hat-trick of victories for him and Ducati at Motegi. What a day for Ducati. They could win the race, and they could also win the world title. It doesn't get a lot better. Randy Depunier 2nd. Tony Elias all over the place in 3rd place.
Fastest lap of the race stuff from Tony Elias. He slides that bike around. Sylvain Guintoli is going to struggle so much to try and get to that final podium spot. Elias looking round in that corner every single time, and he'll still see Guintoli's there. Stoner, 1 lap away. Just look at the family in the pit box.
Mum and Dad just looking on. When he was 14 years old, they came to England to race because there was no road racing for such a youngster. They sold up their house in Australia, they came to England, they lived in a caravan up in the north of England. A lot of colds and flew around, they stuck at it. They helped their son. They progressed him through the 125 British Championship. They progressed him through the Spanish Championship into the World Championship. The ultimate sacrifice was worthwhile. Casey Stoner now half a lap away from the 2007 MotoGP World Championship title.
This is Valentino Rossi, who's down in 13th position, who is powerless to stop Stoner's tilt at his title that he now hasn't won, of course, for 2 years in a row. Ducati ready themselves on pit wall. A double celebration it will be for that team tonight.
Loris Capirossi, the checkered flag in sight. A hat-trick of victories for the Italian on the Ducati. Loris Capirossi looks frontwards. The checkered flag beckons. Loris Capirossi wins the Japanese Grand Prix here at Motegi. And now the world title surely will be decided. In 2nd place, Randy Depunier on the Kawasaki. In 3rd place, just Tony Elias from Sylvain Guintoli. In 5th place, it should be Marco Melandri. Casey Stoner, so close. He's through the victory curve. Casey Stoner looks behind him. Casey Stoner is the 2007 MotoGP World Champion.
And down here, you can just imagine it's like the a New Year's Eve celebration tenfold at the moment. It's just going off.
Ducati celebrate a race win and a world title. Congratulations to Casey Stoner. Congratulations to his mum, his wife, and his dad. He's done it back home in Australia. He is the world champion. Valentino Rossi has to concede the world title. Rossi crosses the line, nothing he can do. I can tell you, he'll be one of the first people to congratulate Casey Stoner. Rossi will be back next year as celebrations go on with Ducati and Bridgestone.
Now, Nick, I'm trying to get into the celebrations here for a quick word with the proudest dad in the world at the moment, Colin Stoner.
Unreal. Unreal, mate.
What was going through your mind? You know, it's been so close for the last few weeks, but, you know, like those last few laps, this race has been so dramatic.
Yeah, it has been an unbelievably dramatic race, and it was a hard one to watch, actually, but, yeah, he used his head.
Well, he's been using his head all year. That's what I've been saying. He's grown up so much. It's just amazing.
He used his head. It was unreal. So,
the long,
hard of the world.
The long, hard road's over, and I think you're a bit speechless at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment. Thank you.
Now, they're just Livio Super and Colin Stoner talking. Just, Livio, you've been saying nothing about the championship for weeks and weeks and weeks. Now you can say it, and you won it at Honda's home track as well, but it didn't matter where you've won it. You've won it first year.
We won the title, we won the race with Loris. I'm very happy for Loris as well. So we can celebrate everything tonight.
Yeah, but what about Casey Stoner? We just...
I mean, it's a dream, but we knew it was close. Of course, when it's alive, it's different. But come on, it's a dream.
Congratulations. It's just, I think the lack of words sums it up, Nick. They're all speechless down here. They've been waiting for it for so long, and now they've done it.
And Nicky Hayden, the first man to shake Casey Stoner's hand, handing over the world title. Don't forget the race winner, Loris Capirossi. They don't know where to celebrate Livio Super. What do I do? Do I go to Parc Ferme? Do I celebrate with Loris, or do I wait back in the pits and celebrate with a new world champion? Who worries? Celebrate both ways round. The Australian flag proudly over the left shoulder of the new 2007 MotoGP world champion. 21-year-old Casey Stoner has done it. Randy de Punier in second place. What a ride by Randy de Punier. Off the track at one stage. All sorts of problems this season. Great second place for Randy de Punier. And in third place, still to arrive, will be Tony Elias. But the day, the season, the year belong to Ducati, they belong to Bridgestone, and they belong to Casey Stoner. Oh, well done, Loris Capirossi. You have made it a very special day for Italy. I wonder if it's sunk in yet for Casey Stoner. He's more worried about making sure the Australian flag does not fall at any moment. It's not going to, is it? Valentino Rossi straight back into the pit garage. This race and his championship chances disappear. Shrugs his shoulders. Immediately they look at the front end of the bike. All seemed to be going so well for him when he took the lead. But then the problems started. As soon as he got onto those dry weather tyres, running off there at the 90-degree corner, really then, Rossi knew the title was on its way to Australia. The inquest starts. What a day for Ducati here at Motegi. What a day for the 21-year-old Australian, Casey Stoner. He is the world champion. He can't believe it. Pretty unemotional, Casey Stoner. He's done it. Well done, Casey.
I'm in the garage with Sylvan Ginsley from the team. It's a Yamaha. Sylvan, what a...
It was a good race. well, the conditions were a bit funny, but we managed to use them as best as we could. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And the end, I was pushing really hard on Randy and Tony, but he did the best lap time, I think, in the last lap. I was pushing so hard to come back, but I couldn't catch him. But it's a shame for the podium, a 4th place for us. I think we're very, very happy with that.
Yeah, very, very hard race, but you came in at the right time.
Yeah, I came in straight away. It wasn't planned. I was supposed to go a bit more, but I thought I'll have a go at it with the mixed condition, and it was a good bet. So yeah, brilliant race for us. Very, very happy.
Well done.
The World Championship cap goes onto the head of Casey Stoner, and the World Championship T-shirt is being prepared. And listen to the crowd. Of course, he won't be on the podium because he didn't finish in the first 3. That matters little. He rode such a sensible, clever race.
I think they might make an exception.
It's an old head on young shoulders for Casey Stoner. His wife, his mum await. He can't wait to see them both. He is the world champion. A proud, proud wife and a proud, proud mum. Casey Stoner, World MotoGP champion, 2007. He joins Wayne Gardner and Mick Doohan as one of the Australian greats, one of the toughest and most demanding of all world sporting arenas. Parc Ferme. First, Loris Capirossi. Second, Randy de Prunier. Third, Tony Elias. And we've just heard from Sylvain Gintley. What a great buy by him to 4th place. So close to getting on the podium. Big thumbs up for the Frenchman with a Brummie accent. Loris Capirossi, 3 in a row here at Motegi. Randy de Prunier second. Tony Elias third. Sylvain Gintley 4. Marco Melandri 5. But the big news, Casey Stoner 6. Well done, Ant West, coming in after jumping the start, but still in 7th place. Valentino Rossi, 13th. He led the race, but he had to come in and change those wet weather tyres as the track dried out. From that moment, his race and his championship disappeared. I think he knew that it was inevitable that Stoner was going to win it. Perhaps he could just delay it another race. But now Stoner will arrive at Phillip Island in 3 weeks' time as the world champion. There we are, 83 points between him and Rossi. He cannot be caught at the top. Tony Elias in 11th place after finishing 3rd in the race. Randy de Prunier 12th after finishing 2nd in the race. What a dramatic encounter. Riders coming in as the track dried out to change from wet to dry weather tyres. Shinichi there, just picking up a single point today. Well done, Randy de Prunier. Everything will be overshadowed, even probably Loris Capirossi's win and the ride by Randy de Prunier and Tony Elias, because we have a new world champion. What a performance by Loris Capirossi. Where do we start? Start with a start. Ant West, an amazing start. Eagle-eyed Gavin sitting alongside me said he's jumped the start. We didn't think he had. It was confirmed, so Stoner led the way. Gets past Danny Pedrosa, not actually lead the race, although West still might be in front. He is. Danny Pedrosa coming under pressure from Marco Melandri, but then penalty driving for Ant West. Valentino Rossi past Pedrosa. Riders now having all sorts of problems as the track starts to dry out. They're out there on wet weather tyres. Rossi gets past Stoner. Randy De Punier in the dirt. Marco Melandri gets past Stoner. They start to come in. Nicky Hayden's in to change bikes. Rossi is going to take the lead.
Well,
he knows he's got to come in.
Sorry, Nick, while I wait in line for Casey Stoner, I've got the man everyone's forgotten about, I think, at the moment. The man that won it by 13 seconds, Loris Capirossi. You said to me a couple of weeks ago you didn't think you were going to win another race this year on Ducati, but what a way to do it.
Yeah, well, amazing day for me, you know, because all season I struggle a lot and I followed that victory. But anyway, the weather is strange today. I can risk more than everybody and I win my third race here in Monteggia, and this is great for me. Just
tell us a bit about the race, because it was so dramatic. From pit lane, it just looked like it was chaos everywhere with the decision when to come in.
Yeah, well, when I look the track everywhere, every lap, and I say, okay, this is the moment, a good moment to change tire, you know, and I have nothing to lose, you know, I just to keep something, you know, and today is good.
Well, have a day all right, have a birth of your child this year, and 3 in a row at Monteggia.
And I'm thinking also a great day for Australia, you know, we have one new world champion, in this case world champion today, and for sure I am very happy for him, and him is really strong ride, I am happy for that.
All right, good to see you, and thanks very much, Loris, and congratulations, it's good to see you back on the podium.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Loris Capirossi wins the race. Valentino Rossi off the track.
Now,
now knows he's going to do it.
I've got the new world champion with me, Casey Stoner, all the way from Australia. Congratulations, and what a race. Very intelligent the way you rode it.
No, I mean, we had a good start. We were able to get up front pretty early, and I had a reasonably good feeling with the bike. Anthony was setting a pretty good pace as well. Unfortunately, he had a problem, but from there, you know, things seemed to go downhill. The tyre started to destroy itself, and unfortunately Valentino and Danny came past. We went on the slick tyres, and the bike feeling wasn't very good, and somehow we managed to finish in front of Valentino, and that was, I suppose, the aim of the game today.
Well, he had to come back in after he changed tyres. I don't know if you know that. He had a bit of a front end problem, but I think it was just a cold tyre. But tell me, what was going through your head that last couple of laps?
I really don't know. I mean, I was just trying to stay focused. Of course, you know, everything was creeping into my head, but I just had to stay focused on the job at hand, and you know, I wanted to bring it home for my team.
Good on you, mate. Congratulations, you're brilliant.
Yeah, cheers.
Casey Stoner, the 2007 world champion, the first European factory to win the Premier Class title since MV Augusta with Phil Reed back in 1974. What a day for Ducati. They win the race. Casey Stoner brings them the world championship. Oh, Mark, I think we all take a bit of a breath now, don't you?
Just a day that's, well, we thought he would wrap that up here, and I was just recollecting it in my head as you were saying about how this race unfolded. Like, wow, you couldn't have written a Hollywood script that would have been more dramatic than what unfolded this afternoon.
Big hug from his wife, Adriana. Casey Stoner married at the start of the year. Little did he realise what a season it was going to be in MotoGP. Got the Australian flag, I think, wrapped up there, isn't he? Not going to let that get out of the way.
I'm just going to talk to one other man that had a big part in his career and getting him here, Lucio Cecchinello. I think you've even got a tear in your eye, even though he doesn't ride for you anymore.
I mean, it was really nice to see Casey, especially in the last lap. I had a lot of pictures, a lot of memories. It's fantastic, really well done.
And it's good to see that you're a part of it, and congratulations for the part you played in his career.
It was a big pleasure, and also, of course, we are proud to have the possibility to work with this similar champion.
Okay, thank you, Lucio.
Lucio Cecchinello, of course, brought Casey Stoner success in the 250cc class, and also he rode his machine in MotoGP last year. Kawasaki are happy, so they should be. Randy De Punier in second place. Tony Elias, terrific, gives a real big hug there to Casey Stoner. Tony Elias is finished in third place. There's Casey. Just probably, I don't know, does it sink in yet? I don't know if it does. I'm never going to know, am I? The podium awaits Loris Capirossi, Randy De Punier and Tony Elias, but there is definitely going to be a cameo appearance at some point of the new MotoGP world champion. What an amazing day's racing. What an amazing MotoGP race. 3 to go. The homecoming hero, Casey Stoner, star of the show at Phillip Island in Australia in 3 weeks' time. There's Ingrid, Loris Capirossi's wife. She's saying, whoa, can't go through too many of those. Tony Elias, great ride by him in 3rd place. Randy de Prunier 2nd. The winner of the race is Loris Capirossi. Third time in succession he stood on the top step of the Motegi Podium. It's the Homer Honda, but it is Ducati that rule the waves. But it's Honda in 3rd place with Tony Elias on the Gresini Honda.
Never thought I'd hear it, Nick, but I think they're almost speechless.
Hey. In 2nd place, Randy de Prunier on the Kawasaki. What a ride by him. He's had a real up and down time, Randy de Prunier, but he's quick, very, very quick indeed. The race winner here in Japan, it's the Italian. It's a hat-trick of wins for Loris Capirossi, riding the Ducati. Ingrid, his wife looks on, the proud mother of their first child. He'll be celebrating back home in Italy, no doubt about that. Okay, it's the Italian national anthem. We were here for the race winner. It's the Australian national anthem who has won that world title. Congratulations, Loris Capirossi. Congratulations, Ducati. We wait for the champagne. It is going to arrive now.
Casey Stoner waits impatiently behind the podium hoardings there, and he's just shaking his head. I don't think it's going to sink in for a while. He's looking down at his team as if to say, is this really happening?
Well, who would have believed it at the beginning of the season? First race in Qatar that he won so comfortably. And then he's gone out and he's done it. He's won 8 Grand Prix this season. He's dominated the championship. He's brought a European factory, namely Ducati, that first title win since 1974. And he stood Grand Prix motorcycle racing on its head. Well done, Loris Capirossi, Randy de Prunier and Tony Elias. Now, are we going to see Casey Stoner on the podium?
You certainly will. He's been waiting patiently behind it for long. He's got the Australian flag in his hand. He's ready to move. He's still looking at his team, shaking his head as if to say, like I just said, it hasn't sunk in yet. But I think it'll sink in tonight. He might even have a drink. He doesn't drink, but I think he might have a little celebration as Loris Capirossi and Casey Stoner embrace behind the podium.
Mum and Dad, Casey and Bronwyn, wife Adriana, await for the arrival of their boy, their husband, and the 2007 MotoGP World Champion. It's Casey Stoner, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody is waiting. Come on, Casey.
He hasn't heard that his team and Loris Capirossi are having a bit. There he goes.
Well done, Ducati. Well done, Australia. And most of all, congratulations, Casey Stoner, the 2007 MotoGP World Champion. That's his Ducati team round him. He's part of the family. They have brought him the world title. The Italian and the Australian have mixed together to produce a championship-winning Grand Prix.